Today I'm checking out Neurontube, which is a new free amp sim from a new developer, Audio Singularity. This is their first product. It's got 2 amps, a Soldano and a LANEY, as well as a pedal board with a bunch of effects, tuner, cab section. It's a pretty complete package that's ever so slightly reminiscent of Neural DSP, but without the price tag. So the question is, does it sound good? Let's check it out in a mix, and you judge for yourself. So far, so good. I think I got some pretty cool tones for the demo. And for that demo, I used only the LANEY amp because I ended up preferring it to the Soldano, even though the LANEY is supposed to be more of a clean and crunch tone amp. It does high gain, especially if you boost the front of it with a tube screamer, which I did because there isn't a tube screamer built in, though there is a distortion pedal, and it is cool, but I just wanted to use my own tube screamer. And I also thought the LANEY worked better with the stock IRs, which for a demo like this, I want to use the included stuff in the plugin as much as possible. I'm sure most of us have a collection of IRs, and you could find better IRs for this, but that's a little bit besides the point. And if you're new to all this, then maybe you don't. So I think the stock IRs are passable, but let's go into some pros and cons of this plugin, and let's pull it up here. Here is the LANEY amp that I used, and it does have 2 drive channels for a later gain and a higher gain. You can set these however you want, as well as a clean channel. And it does have, standard 3-band EQ. It has reverb. It looks like for both the clean and the drive channels you can set. There is a vibe option on the reverb as well. You can switch between these channels. There is a toggleable mid switch, which I believe only affects the clean channel, as well as a bright switch for that, and some, volume controls. Standard stuff. There's also these enhanced knobs, which is kind of a mid scoop or a V-shaped EQ, mid scoop and a bass and treble boost. I only used a little bit of that, but a little bit did kind of make it a little nicer because there's only so much you can do with a 3-band EQ. You can see I've got the mids and the treble up about 6 and the bass rolled off. There is no depth or presence on this amp, which would be nice, but it's modeling a real amp. Looking at the pedal board, we have a compressor, which for what I've played around with it, seems like a nice little compressor. You've got certainly a variety of ratio options as well as attack and release times, slow and fast, which is nice to see. There's this burn pedal, which is the drive, and that has distortion and fuzz modes, and I like the fuzz mode on this. I'm picky about fuzz. There's not a lot of great fuzz plugins. This one does the job quite nicely, I will say. I like it. Maybe for that alone, this plugin is worth checking out because good fuzz is rare and it's free. So I like the fuzz on this, and I haven't really played around with the distortion too much, but it works. It's got sort of your big muff tone control, tilt shift EQ. Then we've got a chorus, and I tried it out a little bit. It's not my favorite off the bat, but nothing really wrong with it. It's a chorus pedal. It sounds like a chorus. These speed and depth knobs seem like they're really sensitive, so a little bit goes a long way on the chorus. There is a delay, though unfortunately it doesn't have a tempo sync button, which I really like on all the delays I use because it just fits in the song better. I don't have to guess with it, but I did use the delay and the reverb on the leads in this, and it's a nice sounding delay. I do like the reverb as well. This is like a room reverb, I'm guessing, or a hall reverb. It sounds nice. You can play around with the size of it and the mix, and you can put it pre or post. So that's cool. I also do like that the LANEY has its built-in spring reverb as well as the pedal board reverb. So you've got two different types of reverb there, and I did use them both on this track. The high gain leads used the pedal, and the clean lead used the spring reverb on the LANEY. So that's nice. Multiple reverb options. Looking at the Soldano model here, it is your standard controls, nothing weird going on. There's a lot of Soldano models out there from free to expensive. I haven't played a real one. I'm not super experienced with the amp. It sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty much like I would expect. So there is that, and that is, I think, sort of maybe the draw for this plugin. But for me personally, I think the LANEY is cooler because it's a little more unusual, and I also just like the tone of it better. But it's nice that we have both of these here for free, and you can be the judge of how good you think they are. There is a built-in tuner with blurry note names. Don't know why. Would like to see that fixed. I know it doesn't really matter that much, but graphically, the tuner is kind of low res here, and everything else is nice and sharp. Little unusual, but the tuner works. The cab section has 3 different IRs and a sort of semi-3D thing where you can select the mic position in a more intuitive way. It looks nice. I think it's a really nice looking cab section. It's not like a full 3D mic moving type deal, but you do get 4 positions, and that covers most of what you need. There's also distance positions, and we have sort of, I believe this is a Mesa oversized cab with V30s, a Marshall cab with V30s, and the built-in combo speaker from the LANEY, which I did not use. I used the Mesa, of course. That's what I would go with. For the high gain tones on my demo, I used the American 412 with the RE20 on the cap, which is neither a mic nor a position that I would usually use, but I did think the 57 on the cap edge wasn't quite doing it for me, though it sounded pretty good, but I ended up liking that RE20 on the cap better. And the RE20 is kind of a dark mic, so you can get away with using it on the cap, and it's not overly bright like a 57 would be. There's a good variety of mics here, and they're all slightly different on each cab, what options are available. Overall, it's a nice job with the cab section, and I do think that's the most important part of your tone, so that's pretty crucial, and I like what they've done here. It's pretty intuitive and a good variety. So, all good there. There's also a built-in noise gate, which you can change the level of, and input and output volume. So, pretty standard fare. Okay, nothing crazy going on in this plugin. I don't know exactly what is different about the modeling technology. I mean, they say there's AI modeling. I don't really know the technical details of that at all, how different it is from other modeling technologies, if it's some cool new thing. But either way, I think the end result is that it sounds pretty good. And so, great job. However, I do have some critiques, and this is for improvement, especially if you want to do commercial releases in the future. I think there's some areas here that should be addressed before a full-on commercial release. But as a free plugin, I can't really complain. In fact, this is a really good free plugin. But what would I improve? Well, starting with the tuner, just the graphics here, I think could be better. Other than that, no main issue. It does seem to jump around a bit, and maybe like a slower response time would make it easier to read. Sometimes it wavers pretty quickly and it's hard to know exactly where you are, but otherwise it's fine. With the pedal board, it would be nice to see a sync option for tempo syncing on the delay and maybe the chorus too. Also, these buttons are not in line. The LEDs are on the bottom over here. Doesn't really matter, you could say it's a taste thing, but I would personally put all the buttons in a line. I think that's just a little nicer, and maybe it helps ease of use a little bit. I don't know. With the cab section, as I said, the IRs themselves sound good. Seems like they've done a good job capturing them. There's a good variety here. However, it's very rare that I find a single IR from anyone from any speaker and any manufacturer that that one IR of that one position is exactly what I want to use. And you don't have any option to blend in a second mic or a second position here. And I think that would go a long way towards improving this, just having a second mic down here with its own position and its own mic type option. That would make this cab section way better, and then you could blend between the two mics. That's what I would do. I think that would make this easily 2 or 3 times as good in terms of tone, and shouldn't be too hard to integrate that. Another option you could have is a set of preset blends, like pre-constructed IR blends that you could choose from instead of using this, but that's really not a better option, I think, than having just 2 mics here, and you can select the mic type and the position of each and control the amount of, the blend between those 2 mics. That alone, I think, would pretty much cover it, because 2 IRs of complementary mics and positions, you can usually get a pretty stellar tone with that. And if you want to go further than that, you can always disable the cabs. That's the main thing. Really, my number one critique with this plugin would be just add the second mic. That would go so far towards making this better to use and able to get better tones right out of the box. Your IRs, your speakers are so crucial to your tone that no matter how good the amps are, without great IRs backing them up, they won't really shine as bright as they could. The other issue is there is some crackling and popping, which I'm sure the developer is aware of. When you turn some of these knobs, nothing that really affects recording, but it's a little unusual, and maybe there's a way to clean that up. It ends up making the plugin feel a little jankier, and so it would be nice to see that cleaned up if possible. And there's also a slight bug in the overdrive channel on the Soldano. When you go to right around 8 or 9, there's a drop in volume, and then it goes back up at 10. But from like 6 or 7, it's loud. You go to 8 or 9, it gets quieter, and then back to 10, it gets loud again. Don't know what the deal is with that. I assume it's just a little bug, but that's something that could be worked out and fixed, and that would be a good fix on that. The other big improvement would be a resizable interface, and as more people are getting 4K monitors and you don't know what resolution people are using, maybe they want it smaller, maybe they want it larger, bigger screens you'd want it larger, it would really be nice to have a resizable interface, and unless I miss some option for that, I don't think there is one. So if it goes to a commercial release at some point or for a future update, if this could be a scalable interface, that would, again, make this a much more polished and professional level product. So all in all, I think it's a great product for free. I think it's definitely worth downloading and checking out. And I'm glad to see a new developer stepping into the arena of amp sims and trying their hand at this. So I wish all the best to future developments and hope that some of my critiques maybe will be implemented in future updates, because I think with some of those changes, this already good plugin could be really great. And I assume that in the future there may be commercial releases, and it would definitely be nice to see those implemented for a paid product. So that's my thoughts on the Neurontube. Good job, and looking forward to what is coming from them in the future. you've enjoyed this little demo, and of course, it's a free amp sim, so why not just download it and try it for yourself and see how you like it. I'll put a link in the description, and as always, smash like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.